Hello, my name is Jemiel Perry, and this is the evolution of the Blaxploitation film. The 1960s were difficult for race relations in Hollywood. The rise of television and the fall of more popular genres caused many film studios to face bankruptcy. Given the atmosphere of the country, it became almost impossible for film studios and directors to ignore the black community in terms of films, making it easier for black filmmakers and actors to make their way into the film industry. One of the first and most well-known blaxploitation filmmakers was Melvin Van Peebles. His film Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song is credited as being the first film of the genre. His independently filmed movie was written, directed, produced, edited, and starred in by Peebles himself. Not to mention he composed the film's score too. Sweet Sweetback showed the plight of the black person differently than other films of the time that showed black people as subservient and docile, much like many of the early roles for award-winning actor Sidney Poitier. A lot of his early work showed a black man in a passive, more background role. Sweet Sweetback offer a new vantage point of the black American. Often in blaxploitation films, the protagonist was shown as a drug dealer, a pimp, or any occupation deemed negative by several of the targeted viewing audience. Sweetback's Badass Song was the first in this line. It showed him running from police and their targeted tactics and his interactions and dealings with women. Sweetback opened the floodgates for the entire genre, grossing $15 million despite having an X rating from the MPAA, which Van Peebles turned into a selling point and tagline, Rated X, by an all-white jury. While Melvin Van Peebles is considered the spark to ignite the fire, Gordon Parks in his film Shaft was the fuse to light. Released by MGM Studios, Shaft is credited by some as single-handedly saving the studio from looming financial threat of liquidation because he's one bad mother. Shut your mouth. Shaft's iconic theme song earned singer-songwriter Isaac Hayes an Oscar. Shaft became commonplace around the country. The film Shaft provided a manuscript for the blaxploitation film. In the film, he displayed characteristics uncommon for black actors and stories of the day. For the first time, people were seeing a hip hero from the community, while also showing a depiction of urban life previously unseen in film. Ultimately, blaxploitation films were targeted to black audiences, but the genre did not stay that way for long. 1972 was the year the genre came to prominence and would prosper throughout the 70s, before phasing out in the 80s. Out of all the films in the genre, the most popular movie is widely considered to be the movie Superfly, directed by Gordon Parks. Superfly provided an amazingly soulful soundtrack, including the track named after the movie title, Superfly by Curtis Mayfield. In the movie, the chief character, Youngblood Priest, was known to be a high-level drug dealer looking for one last big score before getting out the game and moving on to another life. This film and many others of the time troubled the civil rights group NAACP by the depiction of the black characters, as so much so that they often petitioned to have the movie scripts changed before being made. By 1976, there were around 200 films made in the genre, often many of them independently produced or with major studio backing. One of the defining elements of blaxploitation films was the white man holding black people down. Every film permeated the dichotomy of white versus black. One of the secrets to the success of these movies was the musical counterpart that added depth and pizzazz to the films. The genre created its own superstars like Tamara Dobson, Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, the NFL Hall of Famer, Pam Grier, and one of my personal favorites, Rudy Ray Moore of Dolomite fame. Moving towards the late 70s, the genre began to flounder a bit, giving way to other subsets of the genre, horror. Western and Kung Fu movies were made around this time. Movies like Blackula and Blackenstein were some of the ones that ended up becoming more popular. From the genre's onset, the NAACP criticized the films, studios, and producers, citing the negative stereotypes depicted in the genre. By the end of the decade, audiences had grown tired of the cheap production and the rehashed ghetto crime thriller formula. As the 80s arrived, blaxploitation film production stopped, causing actors, directors, artists, and technicians to be back into unemployment. The lasting impression the genre made of the younger generation of that time gave us heralded producers such as Spike Lee and John Singleton. A contributing factor to a bit of the resurgence of the genre was famed producer Quentin Tarantino, with his film Jackie Brown, which gave a second wind to the career of Pam Grier, also a well-known character from his Pulp Fiction movie. Jules, played by Samuel Jackson. Jules' character was formed from what Quentin Tarantino saw in blaxploitation films of yesteryear. Other films appeared in the early 2000s in parody form. Films like Pootie Tang, The Undercover Brother, a Shaft reboot, and Black Dynamite. Thank you for watching and have a good day.
Scram! Scram! I said split! Shake the scene, you turkeys! Get out of my house! I'll see y'all tomorrow.